Fields on Wheels is in collaboration with Ben. If you work in the automotive trade or you have worked in the automotive trade and you need support, please reach out to them. Their telephone number is 08081 311 333. Hello guys, welcome back to Car Session and day 2 of Fields on Wheels. Thankfully I'm much more closer to home because I'm at Cedar Garage in Worthing, and as you can see I'm joined by Kevin Pearce. So we're going to go for a little drive. We're going to go from here to Cedar Electric. Hang on a minute, are you just doing this to avoid paying for a taxi?
Indeed, yes.
Oh, right. Say no more. Right, so yeah. So short drive, but hopefully we'll have a good old chinwag. So tell us briefly who you are and a little bit about Cedar Garage as well.
My name's Kevin. I am one of the owners at Cedar. We have 4 sites now, 2 Cedar garages, 1 Cedar Electric and 1 High Q, which is over in Portslade.
So not only are you one of the owners of Cedar Garage, you are the person that pays my wages, so I have to be careful about what I say. Some of you may think I do YouTube as a full-time gig, but no, I actually work for Cedar Garage as my day job. So to kick off with, what does mental health mean to you?
It's, for me, I would say that mental health is something very similar to physical health, something that you need to be looking after all the time, constantly work on and be aware of it.
And I think that's one thing that often gets forgotten in the motor trade. For me, I would say I'm still quite new to the motor trade. I've been working for Cedar for almost 5 years now, but before that, my background was nowhere related to the motor trade. So for me, it was quite a large shock. The trade is quite, not brutal, it's full on, it's intense. I think that's the better way of putting it. So yeah, I think because of that, mental health just gets forgotten about because you get so busy, you don't look after yourself. So one thing I'd like to ask you is, you've grown Cedar Garage, you've grown it really well, because you were doing car doctors beforehand many years ago. How do you keep yourself mentally fit when you're under so much pressure on a continual basis?
I'm very fortunate. I don't really worry about things too much.
Yeah.
I think generally you can train your brain. The same as you can go to the gym and build your muscles up, you can train your brain to think in certain ways. I've, over the years, I've always trained my brain to believe there's no such thing as a problem. I can solve anything, as you know. And that's something that we try and instill through the companies as well, that there is no such thing as a problem. If there's something that's not right, let's find a solution to it and change it. It is something that I appreciate. It's not always that easy for certain people. Well, for a lot of people, and in a lot of circumstances, things just will always feel worse than they are. There's a really good podcast between Stephen Bartlett and Mo Gordat, who was one of the chief officers at Google X, and he hits the nail on the head really. He pretty much says that 99% of people wouldn't change the problem after it's happened, like once they've got over the situation happening. Because your life changes one way or another, you're going down a different path, and if you can try and understand that at the beginning of when the problem is, it makes everything feel a lot less dramatic.
Okay, I like that. Not only are you such a busy man, for example, trying to drag this man away from his laptop is the equivalent of trying to drag me away from a car parts store. It's rather tricky. Not only have you got everything on the go, but soon you're going to be a father, and that in itself is its own big challenge. So how does that make you feel?
Yeah, I'm buzzing. I can't wait. Yeah, she's due in June.
Not too long then.
Not long, no. So yeah, very excited for that. Again, everyone tells me that's one problem that you won't be able to solve. But I'm still confident I'll be all right.
I mean, that could be your biggest challenge.
Yeah, I'd imagine it will be. Yeah, it's something I've wanted for a long time. And, everything. Very fortunate that everything's going okay, and we're looking forward to that looking forward to her coming.
Yeah. No, it'd be good, but it's difficult. But in my own opinion, of course, as you know, I'm a father myself. It's the best challenge you could ever take on.
Yeah.
It's not easy, but my word, when you get it right, is it bloody well rewarding. So yeah, now happy for you, mate, and I'm sure you'll be a fantastic father.
Thank you.
Onto something, going from something really positive to something a bit more darker, but of course this conversation isn't always going to be flowers and rainbows. Can you think of yourself, you got yourself in a really dark time, and what did you do to kind of get yourself out of that rut?
Yeah, I could think of a couple probably.
Yeah.
The main, I mean, it's to get yourself out is just stop dwelling on something and look for the solution. So, as I said earlier, I do genuinely believe that there's no such thing as a problem. And I often say to people, I think we've had the conversation in the past. That
yes, we have.
The definition of the word problem, actually, the definition of that is something that needs to be solved.
Yeah.
Which implies that there is technically no such thing as a problem. It's just
a challenge.
It's a challenge that needs to be overcome. I've had a number of times in my life where things have happened. But if you can stick with that positive mentality of I've just got to overcome it, I've got to work out what's going on, then I think that's definitely the best way forward.
So, on the back of that question, now you know what you know and the experiences you've had and the lessons you've learnt, what advice would you give to a younger version of yourself, or just anyone in general?
Try not to sweat the small stuff too much, which is a difficult thing to say because I think it's the small things that make the big difference.
Yeah.
So when if you're doing something, always put attention to detail. Always try and improve all the time. I mean, again, this goes back to our company ethos to constantly impress. But yeah, pay attention to the small details, but don't sweat the small stuff.
Yeah.
The small details will make the big difference in terms of progressing and moving forward in life, and effectively trying to get one step closer to being happy. Again, Will Smith, there's a very interesting bit where Will Smith's talking about building a wall.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter how big the wall is, if you just add one brick a day.
Yeah.
After a certain amount of time, there will be a decent wall, and pay attention to every brick that you lay.
Yeah.
And that's what will effectively build the foundations towards your happiness.
That's a really good analogy, because I kind of spoke about this in my first episode with my friend Chris, is that sometimes when you're looking at mental health, or you're looking at making a change in your life, I think far too many people, and that includes me, we're all guilty of it. We look at the end goal and think, Jesus, that's a long way, but you almost look at it like a big mountain and think, I can't climb that. That's massive. But it's not as much as it's about getting there. It's just taking one step at a time. Constant
progress.
Exactly. Keep moving forwards, even if that progress feels really slow or stagnant. As long as you just keep moving. I know that's a bit of a cliche thing to say, and that isn't always easy for everyone, but sometimes all you can do is just keep moving forward and just keep faith, which, yeah, again, isn't always easy.
No, constant progression.
Yeah.
I mean, that's definitely, sometimes I've got caught up, I've got stressed, I've got upset about things that 2 weeks later really don't matter, even a week later, sometimes even a day later.
Yeah.
Just don't matter. I mean, you've probably seen been in the time, how long have you been with us now?
Almost 5 years now.
5 years, so
yeah.
You would have seen a huge shift in that 5 years of the way that we do things, the way that we run things, our management techniques, and even more so over the course of the last 10 years. I've learned so much, and hopefully changed for the better a lot over the last 10 years. And a lot of that does come down to when you're feeling annoyed, stressed, angry, upset. Try and think, is this going to matter in a day's time, a week's time, a month's time?
Yeah.
If the answer is no, or probably not, then just don't worry about it now. There's no point stressing out about something that's not going to matter in a week's time.
I mean, I actually really like that way of thinking, and yeah, it makes perfect sense. It's all too easy to get caught up in things which, in the heat of the moment, it feels like that's everything in your life. It's just, when, like you say, you take a step back, look at the bigger picture and go, actually, this is a rather insignificant problem that's forming a very small piece of my overall jigsaw.
Yeah.
It's that makes perfect sense, and I'm not afraid to say that when I first started working with you, you were intense. You were quite intimidating. If you don't mind me saying, but the Kevin I know today compared to the one I knew when I first started, there's definitely a stark contrast.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's so. Going back to your question, what would I tell my younger self? I wouldn't, I had to go down the road that I went down to get where I am today. But if I could have learned 10 years ago what I know now, it would have changed a lot of things. But you don't know what you don't know. Exactly,
and that's all part of growing up. It's all part of experience, life lessons, and all that jazz. It's just part of the journey, isn't it? If we all knew what we did 10 years ago, it'd certainly make things interesting. Now, as I've touched upon, the motor trade is tough. It's very full on. It certainly isn't for the faint-hearted. So there may be people watching this looking to get into the motor trade from a perspective of surviving. What would be your advice?
I think the motor trade is undervalued.
Agreed.
From the perception point of view, I think there's a number of people that don't. I say a number of people. I think just the general perception of the motor trade is that the skill set is from 20 years ago. Not that it was easy 20 years ago, but people used to think,
just nuts and bolts,
or you're not very, you keep misbehaving at school. I'll go and get an apprenticeship in a garage. And the old grease monkeys, whatever people used to say. I genuinely believe now it's one of the most, where it requires some of the most heavily skilled technicians, probably from most trades. I would say that the automotive industry, to become a very good technician on modern day vehicles, you need attributes from all different types of trades. Attention to detail is definitely one, but it's a fantastic trade to get into. It's constantly evolving. Definitely never going to get bored, that's for sure.
No.
Every day is different. Every day we're learning something new. It doesn't matter how at the top of your game you think you are. It's constantly evolving, so you're constantly having to learn new things.
And that's one of the reasons why I took the job, was I wanted variety, and even to this day, every day is different, and some of you watching thinking, nah, surely it isn't, but genuinely, there's been times where you get asked a question by a customer and you think, blimey, I've never been asked that before. So I love the variety that the motor trade gives you.
I think it's all constantly evolving, especially now with the EV vehicles. Obviously, we're on our way over to the EV site now. We've opened this as in a partnership with Chichester College, part of Northbrook College, and we've got a partnership there where we're doing a lot of research and development work in terms of trying to find, again, no such thing as a problem, so trying to find solutions to high voltage component failure, so Tesla batteries that are failing, rather than having to replace them with an exchange or a new battery from Tesla. We've actually come up with an overhaul procedure that we're being able to carry out. I mean, there's different elements and different job roles within the motor trade, from front of house, which not only do you need to understand the automotive side of the industry, really is the psychology of the customers as well, understanding how to speak to them, what's the best way to address things, making sure that we know what's fair, what's correct, and what's morally right. Again, as you know, our rules are only ever bill a customer for something that's going to make their car safer or more reliable.
Yeah.
We have no interest in charging people for things that aren't required. That's literally our technicians look at things and will only advise to replace something if they think it's going to make the car more safer or reliable.
Yeah.
Or not cause anything that won't cause any further damage.
Yeah, exactly.
So for everyone at work, we've all got different elements of what we're doing. Rob, in the way that he manages the workshops and the teams. Rob Alban, who's obviously taking care of workshop side of things, the processes that we've built, our workflow diagram as to who goes to who for what problems. It's all about trying to make life easier for everyone, to reduce the stress levels, have a fail safe for every situation. Someone calling in sick doesn't affect us anymore, does it? Because we have a plan for every individual when they're off, and it's all about doing things like that, which in turn are all for everyone's benefit and mental health, well-being. There should be no requirement for anyone to get stressed if something's gone wrong on a car, which does happen. Again, we have a process for that. That's what we've been trying to do, and with the shift that we're now doing again, moving Ashley into a different role, is only going to help cement that and improve things going forward even more.
And of course, that's going to help take some of the workload off you when the little one comes.
Yes, indeed.
So it's all about forward thinking. I know you're very good at forward thinking.
I like to think so.
The motor trade is tough, but one thing I love about it is the general camaraderie. It is tough. We do get stressed sometimes. Sometimes things do get a bit heated, but the banter is just just the old atmosphere. Yeah,
I think culture is the word that a lot of people would use.
Yeah.
And especially, with biased obviously, but I'd say that the culture inside our company is second to none. We're not just work colleagues, we are friends, we socialise, we look after each other, we know each other's private lives, we care for each other, and I think it makes it a nice environment to be able to come to work and feel like that. I genuinely enjoy spending time with everyone in our company, which is a great thing to have. I think the motor trade in general is the culture is constantly improving. There's always been a bit of a stigma around things. But it's becoming more and more professional, thankfully, and it's definitely a good industry to get into.
Yeah. So we're almost at the electric site now, which to this day, this is my first time here. I've not been to the electric site before, so to be a little bit of an experience.
We'll give you a quick tour.
So I like to finish these interviews off with a more lighter note. So if you were to go out on a drive to boost your mood, what car would you choose and what road would you drive on?
That's a very good question.
Oh, thank you.
I haven't been on the Nürburgring yet, but I would.
Have you not?
No.
That really, really surprises me.
Yeah, it's because I can't bother to do the drive all the way over there. So if the car was there, I'd do it. But I think I'd like to do a trip down there sometime.
I'm yet to go as well. So.
And what car? It'd have to be the McLaren, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
600 LT.
Yeah. That's a lovely car, that. Yeah. Well, thank you very much for spending your time, because I know your time is very precious and it's somewhat in short supply, so just wait until the Sprinter reverses into the front of my car. I'm actually going to move backwards just in case. Thank you very much for your time, because I know you haven't got a lot of it to spare. Of course, I know you've done work with Ben in the past. He is just stopping there, isn't he? Yes, so these videos are partnered with Ben, so if you work in the automotive trade and you need support, reach out to them and they'll be more than happy to assist you with any problems that you may have. So not problems, challenges. But yes, once more, thank you very much, Kev.
My pleasure.
Oh, hello. And stay tuned for tomorrow's episode, which will of course be episode 3. So until then, bye for now, guys. Coming soon on Feels on Wheels. No, he's not my brother. A lot of people think we're related. What does that mean? Why check on your happy friends, not your sad friends?
Properly threw me into like a spiral for a few weeks where I was just locked away in a room, not talking to anybody.